Numerous elements of Japanese culture and folklore are referenced in Demon Slayer in the form of artifacts, settings, and characters. Some of them are actually incredible. I'll share 13 of them with you today. As an anime with a supernatural element in its universe, it features a lot of creatures inspired by and derived directly from Japanese culture. I'm sure some of them will blow your mind, but since discussing all the references to Japanese folklore in the characters would take all day, let's simply focus on 5 of them. Number 1, the Tanami, a blind man with eyes in his hands, was undoubtedly the inspiration for Yaiba. The Tanami is supposed to have been killed while he was a human and longed that he had a set of working eyes to see the face of those who had attacked him, even if it were in the palms of his hands. As a result, he achieved his goal of living as a yokai, a type of spiritual entity with eyes in the palms of his hands. Oh, and he also consumes humans. The tongue demon and the akanami, another yokai, are quite similar. It thrives in the filthiest environments and primarily consumes waste. You can tell that the akanami was a wonderful reference for it, despite the fact that they don't have the same diet. Number 3, the huge spider known as the Tsuchigumo, which typically inhabits caves, forests, and mountains and preys mostly on humans, but may also survive by consuming nearby animals, appears to have served as an inspiration for the 3 Louis spider family. Clans are also referred to as Tsuchigumo in a pejorative way. Very appropriate. 4. Did you know that a god inspired the character Kyogai? His power is similarly connected to drums, and his name is Raijin, but this guy makes the sound of thunder rather than rearranging furniture and cutting through walls. 5. And I obviously had to mention Daki to wrap up this list. You see, Daki was most likely influenced by both the Rokurokubi and the Jatai, 2 yokai. Women who sleep at night with their necks stretched out are known as Rokurokubi. They're not aggressive and survive primarily on lamp oil, but there is a subspecies of them called Nukekubi that has a fully detachable head. Additionally, this one is much bloodier and more vicious. In the Edo period, during which Jutaro and Daki were transformed into demons, the stories of the Nukekubi and the Rokurokubi stood out as far as I could tell. I am aware that I already named 2 yokai, however they are similar to each other. The Jatai, an obi that comes to life at night to strangle, is the second yokai I wish to discuss, Monk. You see, the combination of these 2 describes Daki almost perfectly. You won't believe number 6. The buffed mice are real. Thanks to some experiments, the enzyme that restricts muscle growth was removed from some mice, resulting in increased muscle growth and bone density. They could run quicker and travel twice as far as a typical mouse. These mice are indeed supersized. Additionally, they are being sent into space. I'll explain. They were dispatched to test if they displayed any alterations in their muscles because in space, muscular volume and other things tend to drop because of the extreme microgravity. The magnificent mice, however, were unaffected by space, proving that they were not only strong on Earth, but also had the ability to rule over it. Who could have imagined? Number 7. Some of you may have recognized the similarities between the Demon Slayer Corps outfit and the Gakuren, a well-known school uniform in Japan. But did you know that military also served as inspiration for the Gakuran? In my researches, I came across a variety of explanations concerning precisely what military outfit it was modeled after. However, we can infer that it unquestionably draws inspiration from the West, given that the word Ran in Gakuran means West, that could only refer to the Netherlands, as that was the only Western nation with which Japan had relations during the Meiji era. It is therefore very likely. Number 8. I was astounded by how lovely and ethereal the wisteria flowers looks in the final selection looked. It turns out that wisteria trees can be found everywhere. The Ashikaga Flower Park is another fantastic location. Number 9. It is stated that the locomotive class 8620 is the exact type from the Taisho era that served as inspiration for the Mugen train. It is kept in the Muka Railway SL Kyoraku and the Kyoto Railway Museum. However, following the complete success of the movie, the Kyushu Railway Company put a fairly realistic copy of the train into service. Even Infinity was written on the front of it. You may visit inside, purchase merchandise, and even travel from Kumamoto Station to Junior Hakata Station. Number 10. Let's discuss the Boulder Tanjiro slices on Mount Fujikasani before moving on to the final selection. There are many potential references to the boulder, but only 2 of them actually aroused my interest. I'll start by discussing Suzuiwa. The Shohachiman Temple in Kitakyushu is where you may find this enormous boulder. Because of this similarity and the fact that Kitakyushu is the 2nd largest city in the Fukuoka prefecture, where Gotug is from, I believe it served as the boulder's primary source of inspiration. The similarities became too accurate to not be a reference. Moreover, you can see that it is a huge stone that has been cut in half. And according Japanese tradition, Yagyu Munetoshi, a highly skilled samurai, did this while engaged in combat with a teng. In the midst of the battle, the teng abruptly disappeared without a trace, and Yagyu's blow instead caused the boulder to be split in half. Similar to how Tanjiro was able to slice the rock during his training, it sounds like the Itoseki is being split. When the 2 swordsmen were about to deliver the killing blow to a supernatural foe, bang! The foe vanished and the boulder split in half. I believe it is the right response because Urokodaki was wearing a teng mask and Yagyu was engaged in combat with a teng. 11. The majority of the Demon Slayer's birthplaces are real cities and villages in Japan, but I'll concentrate on Tanjiro's and Inosuke. They were both raised in the mountains, as we all know. While Inosuke comes from Mount Odake, Tanjiro's from Mount Kumatori, which is fascinating because they are both adjacent to the same city, Okutama. They hadn't been that far apart from one another all this time, but they weren't even aware of it. According to story, Tanjiro traveled to Okutama to buy and sell charcoal. After the success of the show, several fans started to make their way up the mountain in an attempt to reach the summit. The problem is that they were doing that in sandals, t-shirts, and shorts. That is not how you ought to be acting. This kind of climb is exhausting and challenging even for experienced climbers. 12. Take a look at this. It resembles the Demon Slayer headquarters, doesn't it? It is located in the Northern Culture Museum, which features a lovely landscape with buildings that are more than 250 years old. The Ito family, a prosperous local farming family, used to live there, but today anyone can visit. The location is the ideal inspiration for the headquarters because they also have some wisteria flowers in their gardens. Finally, these papers with symbols attached were quite frequent in Onmyodo, a Japanese system of astronomy and physics that also included magic. Some symbols to guard homes against demons were present. This wraps up today's video. I hope you enjoyed it.